Good afternoon, members. It's the appointed time of the meeting of the House Committee, and we already have a quorum. Let's start our meeting. Before we begin, I'd like to draw your attention to our arrangement. Since this meeting is going to be conducted online, if members require to speak, please use the press on the raise hand button via Zoom. When the speaking time is about to be up, then the staff will, on the screen, show you the remaining time left. And there will be a beeping sound to remind member that his speaking time is up, and then I will ask the member to stop speaking. First item on the agenda is to pass the minutes of the previous meeting. The meeting was held on the 11th of February 2022, minutes of the fourth meeting. We have already distributed the draft minutes to members, and to date, we have not received any proposed amendments to the draft minutes. Would members please pass the draft minutes? Okay, minutes passed. Agenda item 2. Chairman of the House Committee reporting on a meeting with the Chief Secretary. I don't have any special or particular things to report to members on this. Ms. Priscilla Leung, would you like to speak? Dr. Priscilla Leung, please switch on your microphone. Chairman, I'm very glad that yesterday, the government has started and putting into effect the emergency regulation, which authorized the Chief Secretary to handle matters relating to the relating to the personnel coming from mainland to Hong Kong to help out Hong Kong to fight against the pandemic. Since time is of the essence, I hope that Chairman can continue to follow up with us to see how the situation is like. We'd like to know about the work progress of this team of mainland experts and also what the LegCo could do. Regarding the emergency legislation, we will later on talk about it in a special panel. And when I meet with the CS, I will continue to communicate with him. And if it's necessary, we would like to invite members to express their views. Mr. Dick Chi-yun, yes. Madam Chair, indeed, the society is facing a lot of problems, especially the elderly homes. They are really in dire strait. I hope that you could reflect 2 points to the CS. First, I think we are now preparing for a territory-wide testing. And I hope that we should really pay more attention to our frontline healthcare workers and to listen to their views. Second, I'm really very confident since we see that the central government is very supportive of our efforts. But then in society, there are still a lot of queries and doubts. So in preparation for this work, I hope that the government can give out timely information to society so as to allay their worries. I hope that you can revert these views to the CS when you meet him. All right? Yes, we really are paying close attention to the work of in fighting against the epidemic. I understand that members have been communicating with the CS and also the CE, and also we have the press conference almost on a daily basis. So we know that the government is trying its best to inform members of the public about the progress of the work. Let's move on to the third item of the agenda. In considering the agenda items on bills and subsidiary legislations, I will perhaps talk about how members could express their interest in joining certain panels or forming certain panels. When I ask members whether you would be interested or you agree to form a certain panel, or if you would like to join a certain panel, please press on the raise hand button on Zoom so as to indicate your views. And please do not unpress the button before I announce that the raise hand button could be unpressed, because our staff have to calculate and count the hands raised. So we are doing this online, and the secretariat staff are on a different location. So please bear with us. Well, when we have finished counting the number of hands, I will remind members to unpress the raise hand button. And according to our House regulations, if there are no less than 3 members indicating their wish to form a panel, then the particular panel will be formed. Mr. Chan, Chao-Fu. Madam Chair, I understand that there are a lot of members who are still not online. They are not in yet. Would the IT colleagues please take a look and see whether we have all the members joining the meeting online? Let's continue. Mr. Tangapil, you mentioned about the raise hand buttons. When I press the button, does it mean that I'm indicating my wish to join the panel? Well, normally speaking, when you raise your hand, that means you agree to form the panel, and then you would also join. You would also be interested to join the panel. And if there is a limit on the number of members joining the panel, then the secretariat will contact relevant members to sort it out. If, for instance, I see 3 hands raised, and that would mean that the panel would be formed. A, according to the rules of regulations, Article 54(4), the reports drafted by the Legal Affairs Department. First is the 2022 Employment and Retirement Scheme Bill. I would like to invite the Principal Assistant Legal Advisor to report to us on that. Thank you, Chair. The paper is LS7/2022. Basically, this is to amend the legislations related to employment and also retirement scheme.
So the bill will seek to amend the employment ordinance so that mandatory Provident Fund scheme benefits attributable to employers' mandatory contributions and occupation retirement scheme benefits and of schools Provident Fund benefits may no longer be offset against severance payments or long service payments payable to employees. And this will be provide for a transitional arrangement. So if this is carried, then this will be gazetted on a day suggested by the Labor and Welfare Bureau. So the administration had briefed the panel on manpower on the proposed abolition of the offsetting arrangement in October and November 2018 and April and October 2021, and concerns were raised, and we are now looking into the Bills Committee, and we believe that we are going to set up to further scrutinize this bill. I'd like to ask if any members would like to suggest setting up a committee to further look into the matter. Mr. Siu Ka-fei, Dr. Teck Ji-yun, Ms. Regina, Mr. Kwok Wei-kong, Mr. Chow Siu-chung, Mr. Leung Zi-wing. Mr. Dominic Lee, Mr. Lok Honman. The Secretariat will send out a circular, and if there are more than the maximum number of members, then we would coordinate with members. It seems that some members are still not admitted into the Zoom meeting. Can the IT help us with that, because we want all members to be present at the meeting? Members have expressed that they are still waiting. Is this technical issue resolved? If you were not able to join the meeting at this moment, that's all right. The Secretariat will send out more information on the Offsetting Arrangement Bills Committee, and then we would ask members if they would like to join. I'd like to remind members that for those who are not present in Hong Kong, you were not able to join the House Committee today. We continue with B. Can the IT staff please delete all the raised hand indicators on the screen? B. Legal Service Division report on subsidiary legislation gazetted on February 8, 2022. I invite the legal advisor to tell us about the subsidiary legislations. So this is paper LS 5 2022. So there would be so this is actually in relation to the Prevention Control of Disease regulation. So LN 12 is to amend the Prevention Control of Disease Requirements and Directions Business and Premises Amendment Regulation 2022 to include 6 premises: barber shop or hair salon, religious premises, shopping mall, department store, market, and supermarket into the regulation. So these premises operation will be under the regulations of CAP 599F. Legal Notice 13, Prevention and Control of Disease Prohibition on Group Gathering Amendment Regulation 2022 to reduce group gathering from 4 to 2 people. So there would be a new regulation that there would not be more than 2 households in any private premises. Third, subsidiary legislation, which is LN 14, is a new regulation to set up regulations for the vaccine pass so that only vaccinated people can enter certain premises. And that include empowering the Food and Health Bureau to set up vaccine pass instructions for public transport, to list out regulations on people using public transportation or entering certain premises that they must be vaccinated, and the penalty is also set out here. The Secretary for Food and Health have already set out notice on the vaccine pass, which came into effect yesterday, which is February 24th. At this moment, it is only applicable to restaurants and specified premises and not on public transportation. LN 15 is to amend Private and Control of Disease Compulsory Testing for Certain Persons Amendment Regulation 2022. To set the fixed penalty for those in violation from $5,000 to $10,000. So this came into effect on February 10th of this year. So members can look at the letter on the responses given by the administration regarding LN 12 to 14. Thank you. Thank you.
Those who would like to suggest to form a committee on the above matter, please raise your hand, press the raise hand button. And for those who are interested to join the committee, please also press on the raise hand button. I can see Priscilla Leung, Syllabus Kwok, Bill Tang, and there are more than 3 members who have already indicated their wish to join the panel and also their wish to form the panel. Please, the Secretariat, record the names of the members who have raised their hands and also follow up on the matter. After recording on the names, please clear all the hand raised. I'd like to suggest that in the future, if the House Committee finds it necessary to discuss on the legislation related to the prevention of diseases, the House Committee will defer the matters to the panel that just set up. So we understand that in the future there will quite a lot of subsidiary legislations that will be put forth to the committee for handling. All right. Would the Secretariat please clear all the raise hand buttons? For matters relating to these subsidiary legislation, all these matters will be deferred to the committee. C, Legal Service Division report on subsidiary legislation gazetted on the 11th of February 2022. The legal advisor, please. Thank you, Madam Chair. Before reporting on this, I have a point to supplement. In addition to the subsidiary legislation relating to the pandemic, I understand that on the 23rd of February, the government has gazetted 3 subsidiary legislations. 2 of them are related to the pandemic. Even though these subsidiary legislations have not been submitted to the Legislative Council for review, we will try our best to see whether we could prepare for a report for submission to the House Committee for reference ASAP. I would perhaps briefly talk about these subsidiary legislations first. The notice on the 23rd of February is to empower the Chief Secretary for Administration to grant a waiver to the certain legislation if it is related to the fighting on the pandemics, for instance, on the waiver of permits and also about the wearing of masks on certain premises and so forth. If members find it necessary to examine in detail these 2 subsidiary legislations, we would then refer these 2 notices to the panel just formed for handling. Yes, thank you. We understand that the emergency legislation, a lot of members have pay a lot of attention to these, and the members agree that these matters should be deferred to the panel just formed for handling. All right. Another one on the 24th, LN 24. Do members agree that these should also be handled by the panel just formed? All right. Next, C, Legal Service Division report on subsidiary legislation gazetted on 11th of February 2022. The legal advisor, please. Thank you, Chair. The report number is LS 252. 2022. LN 16 is on import and export general regulations, amendment of Schedule 7. This is to add Kyrgyz Republic, Mozambique Republic, and Qatar to the Schedule 7 of CAP 68. The effect is that rough diamond traders registered under this may lawfully trade in rough diamonds with the 3 basis under an international certificate scheme. And regarding LN 16, this is my report. Thank you, legal advisor. All right, 16/2022. Any members find it necessary to form a panel on this? If you do, please press on the raise hand button and indicate your wish to join the panel. There is none. All right, please continue. LN 17, Public Health and Municipal Services Ordinance. And this is to set aside the East Kowloon Cultural Center at 16 Yau Tau Court Road for use as a civic center, and it's also to amend the list of civic centers specified in the 13th schedule to Cap 132 by adding EKCC. This is to enable the authority to enforce regulations relating to civic centers for management of EKCC, and this will comes into operation on the 11th of April 2022. This is my report on LN 17. Thank you, legal advisor. Regarding 17/2022, does any members would like to form a panel on this matter, and anyone wish to join the panel, if so formed? There is none. All right, I'd like to remind members that for the 6 subsidiary legislations, if you want to propose amendment, the deadline would be March 16. If a deferment is made, the latest date would be April 6th, the Legislative Council meeting on April 6th. D. Service Division report on subsidiary legislation gazetted on 18th of February. Thank you, Madam Chair. The LC paper is LS 8/2022. It covers 3 subsidiary legislation. LN 18, the aim is to amend Form 1 in the schedule to consequentially reflect the amendments made under the amendment ordinance in relation to the offense of smoking in designated no smoking areas or in public transport carriers under Section 7.1 of Cap 371 to the effect that the fixed penalty notice in Form 1 in respect of the offense covers alternative smoking products. And this would also update the payment instructions in Forms 1 and 2 in the schedule by removing the specified postal address of the Treasury and adding its hotline and official website. And this will come into operation on the 30th of April 2020. This is my report. Thank you. 18/2022, any members would like to set up a panel on this? If yes, please so indicate by pressing on the raise hand button. There's none. Please continue. Thank you, Madam Chair. LN 19 is to amend Division A of Schedule 1, Schedule 3, and also Division A of Part 1. And according to the authority for these, the newly added materials, adding items, specific items, and also it would also amend Schedule 2 to add new ingredients so that these substances are subject to restrictions with respect to their sale, supply, labeling, and storage. And they can only be sold by retail upon a prescription given by a registered medical practitioner, registered dentist, or registered vet surgeon. And this has come into effect on the 18th of February. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you. Relating to 19/2022, any members would like to form a panel? If yes, please press on the raise hand button. No, there's none. Okay, please continue. Thank you, Chair. Next is LN 20, Toys and Children's Products Safety Ordinance. This is to update certain safety standards for toys and 6 classes of children's products as specified in Schedules 1 and 2. and the government has not consulted the Commerce, Industry and Tourism branch of the Commerce and Economic Development Bureau, and it will come into effect on the 1st of September 2022. Thank you. Do any members wish to form a panel on matters relating to LN 2022? If yes, please press on the raise hand button via Zoom. There's none. Please continue. E. Legal Service Department report on subsidiary legislation gazetted on 21st of February 2022. Thank you, Madam Chair. The LC paper number is LS9/2022. It comprises of one, that is LN21. It is on medical laboratory technologist special exemptions regulation 2022. It is to exempt a person who possesses the requisite qualification recognized by a national, provincial, or municipal health authority of the PRC to engage in lab testing work that is or including the work carried out by a person who practices a specified profession to conduct nucleic acid tests for detecting COVID-19 from the offense provision in Section 21(1) of Cap 359, while the specified person is conducting specified tests for the government, and exempt a registered company which carries on the business of practicing a specified profession from Section 20 of Cap 359 to the effect that the requirement of employment registered MLT to practice the specified profession and the related offense in relation to non-compliance with such requirements does not apply to a specified company which employs a specified person to conduct specified tests for the government. And it will come into effect on the 21st of August 2022. Thank you, legal advisor. Any members would like to form a panel on LN 21? If so, please press on the raise hand button. There's none. I'd like to remind members that for the 4 subsidiary legislation, the amendment date is 23rd of March. And also, if there is a need for a deferment, the latest date for deferment is the 27th of April. Item number 4. Business for the Council meeting of 16th of March 2022. The chairman of the legislature has sent a letter to all members on the 21st of February. Before the COVID situation is controlled, the legislature will handle only issues that are of legislative power. And to date, the Secretariat has only received one such matter, which has been approved by the chairman. So this agenda will be added onto the item, to the agenda of the meeting on the 16th of March. And that is the proposed legislation proposed by the Secretary for Financial Affairs and the Treasury on public finance regulation. Thank you, Chair. This is to request allocation of public money of 270 billion. So that the government can continue to provide the relevant service related to fighting of the pandemic. And according to the authority, this allocation of sum is about 39% of the total appropriation under the appropriation bill of 2022. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I'd like to try to ask members if any members would like to set up a panel to discuss this proposed resolution. If you would like to set one up, please raise your hand. Mr. Tan Campion, Mr. Martin Liao, are you raising your hand to speak, or do you wish to set up a panel? Well, I see that in accordance with the president's directions that we are not going to handle any non-binding matters. I see that there are also questions and members' motions included. Are we also going to handle these in the council meeting? Mr. Liao, questions and members' motions would not be discussed. I have already confirmed with the president this morning that we are going to only discuss one issue, which is the government motion on the proposed resolution under the public finance ordinance. Please turn on Mr. Liao's microphone. Madam Chair, maybe that was the agenda I received previously and not the updated one. Please note the latest agenda. So the business for the council meeting of March 16th would only be on the government motion proposed. Mr. Tan Ka-pi, would you like to speak, or would you like to set a panel? Well, yes. Before the Chinese New Year, I moved a member's motion on a reform of a poverty policy in Hong Kong, but then the president decided to postpone my motion. So how long would the postponement be? Would my motion be put as a top priority when we resume such business? Well, at this current stage, I'm sure you all understand that we are doing our best to fight the epidemic. We want to try to limit the number of meetings at LetCo. We do have colleagues, LetCo staff being tested positive every day, even though we are still engaging in Zoom meetings. Every time we hold a meeting, someone would need to enter the electrical building. We do want to try to lower the risk of infection, but please be rest assured, Mr. Tang, when the president decides to resume council meetings, your motion would be in the order, in the priority set as before. I would like the secretariat to confirm that. Oh, that's all right. Your motion was already at the top of the list, so I believe that it will continue to stay there. So your motion would be prioritized. It will not just be taken off the list. While we go back to our agenda, the legal advisor has given notice that we are going to discuss the proposed resolution under the public finance ordinance on March 16th. Would any members like to set up a panel to follow up? If you would like to set up a panel, please raise your hand in the Zoom function. All right, and no member has suggested setting up a panel in a All right, we move on to the next agenda item then, but then this motion will be moved by the government and the council meeting of March 16th. Next agenda item, letter from Mr. Martin Liao, dated February 22nd, regarding the appointment of a subcommittee to study the relevant issues relating to the administration's invocation of the Emergency Regulations Ordinance Cap 24 to postpone the sixth-term CE election. Mr. Liao, in his letter dated February 2020, expressed that the Chief Executive in Council has approved the use of the Emergency Regulations Ordinance Cap 24 to postpone the sixth Chief Executive election to May 8th of 2022. The nomination period will be postponed to April 3rd to April 16th of this year. In order for LegCo to study the relevant issues of the ordinance and to ensure the efficiency of such work, Mr. Liao proposes to, in accordance with Rules of Procedure 75(12)(a), to appoint a subcommittee to study the relevant issues of the ordinance and to study the issues before and after the gazettal of the ordinance. Members, please note that the ordinance has already been gazetted on February 23rd, and information papers have already been emailed to members on the same day. In order to commence work as soon as possible, I see that 3 members have indicated their wish to speak, but before they speak, I want to see if Mr. Liao has any supplementary information he would like to give. Mr. Liao. Madam Chair, I do not have anything to add. You have said all I wish to speak. Mr. Tony Tse. Thank you for placing the epidemic work as our top priority is the most important. It is essential to make all efforts to fight the epidemic. But then for legislation in relation to the postponement of the CE election, even though time is pressing, LegCo should diligently study these issues and to relay this back to the public. So I am in support of Mr. Liao setting up a subcommittee to study these issues. Thank you. Mr. Tommy Cheung. Mr. Cheung, can you hear me? Yes. I also support Mr. Liao in his proposal for an appointment of such a subcommittee. We did the same last year. It's feasible and gives us more time from the policy perspective on how to look in how to understand these issues. I have already indicated my wish to join this subcommittee. Dr. Teck Ji-Yun. Thank you. I believe it is reasonable to postpone the election. We are not actually extending the period for a long time. And there wouldn't be much difficulty in the handover. But then this is, of course, a very major issue that we should just accept what the administration proposed. I think LegCo should, of course, study the matter and then relay our comments to the administration, to the public. And I also would like to join the subcommittee. Dr. Lo Wai Kwok. Madam Chair, I'm not going to repeat what other members have said. They are in support of the setting up of this SC, and the BPA is also in support as well. Postponing the CE election is appropriate at this time, but we must, of course, scrutinize it very carefully. So I agree with Mr. Liao's proposal, and I would also like to join the subcommittee. Dr. Simon Lee, thank you. I am a supporter of Mr. Liao. This is a constitutional arrangement, and I support Mr. Liao's view in the appointment of an SC to study the issues, and I would also like to join the committee. Mrs. Regina It. I also support Mr. Liao's proposal, and I would like to join the subcommittee on behalf of the NPP. Well, I do not hear any objection to this matter. I'd like to invite members to agree with Mr. Liao's proposal and to set up a committee to study this. So for those who would like to join, please raise your hand. The secretary will take down your names, and once the names have all been recorded, the raise hand features would be cleared. Right. Agenda item 6. Proposal procedures for the nomination election of members of the legislative advisory government bodies. So the paper invites the House Committee to endorse the proposed procedure for the nomination and election of members. These 5 bodies are Disaster Relief Fund Advisory Committee, Poland Cook Advisory Board, Zhonghua Group of Hospitals Advisory Board, Council of the Chinese University of Hong Kong, and the Court of the University of Hong Kong. In order to assist with the members in the nomination and election, we adopt the nomination election procedure set out in Appendix 2. So the procedures are actually similar to that of the Legislative Council Commission, the Public Accounts Committee, Committee on Members' Interests, Committee on Rules of Procedure, and Committee on Access to the Legislature's Documents and Records. If members have no objection to the nomination and election procedure set out in Appendix 2 on the 5 advisory and governing bodies, then this procedure is carried. The President and non-HC members will be notified of the procedures, and I, as the Deputy President, will decide on a date, time, and venue of the election at an appropriate time after considering the epidemic. Any other business? There's no other business. Thank you. We can complete the first Zoom HC meeting. I wish you all stay healthy. Thank you.